Who do you think will win in the Black Priest Doctor Strange versus Rune King Thor fight, the confrontation between will and limitless destructive power? Rune King Thor is the most powerful version of the God of Thunder when he absorbs ancient knowledge from the runes, reaching power far beyond Odin. Not only possessing unparalleled physical strength, Thor in this state also controls the flow of magic and the laws of reality, holding the ability to rewrite fate as well as recreate the entire universe. This is a divine existence that even the gods of the universe must be wary of. Black Priest Doctor Strange is the most ruthless and powerful version of Stephen Strange, trained in the dark sects that specialize in using the language of destruction to rewrite the nature of all things. Strange in this form is not only the ultimate sorcerer, but also someone who can destroy or reshape the entire world with just absolute spells. Before we dive into the analysis, please hit the subscribe button and remember to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thank you very much. Rune King Thor. His glory shines beyond all gods, a prestige that even the almighty Odin falters. If Odin was once considered the one who touched the boundaries of multiverse power, then Rune King Thor's power is much greater. He holds the ultimate knowledge of the ancient runes. With his timeless insight, Thor sees clearly the past, present, and future, and controls the flows of fate as a rewriter of the history of the universe. When Mangog, who once brought Odin to his knees, rose, Thor only needed a single blow to wipe out his power. Against Loki, whose Skyfather power was enhanced by Mangog, Thor still easily defeated him. Loki's giant armies, even equipped with the mighty Uru, were still destroyed by him without any difficulty. The pinnacle of his power was when Thor turned the great hammer Mjolnir into a trivial piece of wood. Rune King Thor was no longer just a warrior god, but an entity attached to the eternal flow of the universe. Every step he took was a shock to the divine realm. Every swing of his arm was a judgment that decided the situation. In the era of runes, Thor was the symbol of absolute power, far beyond the limits of Asgardian mythology. King Thor. At the moment his power reached its peak, he did something that even the gods had never thought of. Thor tore the veil of reality, opening the gate for Surtur to enter Valhalla, a realm that was inviolable and inaccessible by any means. Thor also faced and overcame those who sat in the dark, mysterious entities often considered to be a class above the gods. Twasis, the beings who dwell in the upper reaches of darkness, possess omniscience, can see through everything and grasp the entire flow of time. However, even their omniscience is obscured by Rune King Thor. He has manipulated and outwitted them. Thor is not only the god who holds the runes, covering the entire universe, reaching deep levels that even the ancient omniscient ones cannot reach. In Avengers Disassembled, when Loki joins hands with Surtur to cause Ragnarok, the fate of Asgard falls into tragedy. Mjolnir, the symbol of Thor's power, is destroyed, and the majestic kingdom of Asgard falls into collapse. It is this dark moment that urges Thor to realize that he must rise above it all, rise above the title of a warrior god, rise above the throne of the almighty father Odin, to become something higher, more transcendent. Thor's fateful journey takes him to Hildstaff, where he meets a strange boy who is actually the god of force Odin in disguise. The ancient god tells Thor about the harsh path he himself took to become the Almighty Father. Undaunted, Thor chooses to face the challenge with great determination. After all, he is no longer just the god of thunder, but has transformed into battles with Mangog usually end in blood and despair, as he is powerful enough to crush Thor and reduce the thunder god's body to rubble. In the eyes of the gods, Mangog is a nightmare with no escape. However, when Rune King Thor appears, Thor's surging rune power not only stops a Mangog roaring at its peak, but is also powerful enough to erase him from existence. That power transcends all limits, breaking the dimensional barriers as if they were just fragile glass. Mangog, who once terrified Asgard, was finally buried by the rune light, leaving an eternal mark of the greatness of Rune King Thor. Thor also demonstrated his ultimate power by teleporting Beta Ray Bill to a distant galaxy in the blink of an eye. Not stopping there, he also connected his mind with Bill telepathically, transmitting a message across the vast universe. Thor, in his Rune King form, destroyed Yggdrasil, a tree of seemingly infinite size, its roots reaching deep into the primordial darkness, its branches reaching into the infinite sky. As Ragnarok, the eternal cycle of destruction, prepared to consume all, Rune King Thor stepped in and stopped that fate. He tore the layers of space apart, breaking the bonds of fate that even the highest gods had never dared to resist. Rune King Thor was certainly more powerful than Odin, and perhaps on par with a well-fed Galactus. Rune King Thor defeated the Beyonders, or those who sit in the dark. The cycle of death and rebirth gave life to those who sit in the dark. They sucked our energy, they drained the life out of us who lived through it over and over again. They make our existence hollow, each sacrifice and each daring act less meaningful as they repeat themselves in an endless cycle. Rune King Thor speaks of those who sit in the shadows, who need the energy of Ragnarok to sustain their lives. The Beyonders are superior beings who need the energy to live. Thor points out that the way to end Ragnarok is simply to destroy a thread behind the tapestry records, which would also end those who sit in the shadows, or defeat them. It was also Rune King Thor's knowledge that allowed him to stop Ragnarok, for he knew that if he destroyed the fate of the thread, the cycle would end. Aside from arguing with them, he no longer fought those who dwell in the shadows. King Rune Thor is not weaker than Odin, but stronger than him because he has Odin's power, 2 ravens, knowledge of runes, and drank from the well of Mimir. And I guess is younger and is sacrificed more? He can be said to be as strong as a well-fed Galactus who easily reached the lower multiverse. Multiverse plus because King Rune Thor has runes, which can at least allow him to gain new powers, instead of just knowledge and wisdom. I really hope you subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot, and you are the best. Thank you very much. Black Priest Doctor Strange is a special version of Doctor Strange, carrying a darker and more mysterious layer of power than the familiar image of the supreme sorcerer. When taking on the title of Black Priest, Strange opened a magical path associated with ancient mystery, where darkness and knowledge intertwine. He is not only a master of offensive and defensive magic, but also a tapper of secret energy flows hidden deep in countless realms of existence. Strange can travel through dimensions, enter parallel realities, and explore sources of knowledge that no one has ever touched. He has the ability to manipulate reality to an incredible extent, bending the laws of physics, restructuring the nature of the world, and turning the impossible into reality. In battle, he can summon mystical forces lurking in the darkness of the universe, calling upon ancient artifacts of unparalleled power to be his allies. Black Priest Doctor Strange is considered to be extremely powerful, equal to or superior to many other magicians in the Marvel Universe, including the most powerful beings like Dormammu and other cosmic entities. Now, Black Priest Doctor Strange took on the role of leader of the Black Priests during the 2015 Secret Wars event. However, due to its taint, he was unable to do so. So, it can be said that he chose to take on the role of leader of the Black Priests instead. So it turns out that the Black Priests themselves are astrally powerful. They are the guardians of the multiverse and have acted because of the invasions. Even Charles Xavier cannot read their minds. So the way their powers work is that each of them can use a single word and they have a collective mind, so they can combine those words to create a tremendous amount of power. So their powers work in conjunction with each other. Their power only works when combined. When fighting them, the Avengers discovered this weakness and gradually won. However, Doctor Strange, their leader, learned all the words. Therefore, his power is almost equal to the power of all of them combined. Black Priest Doctor Strange, before becoming the leader of this mystical sect, proved his terrifying power with a feat that shook the entire multiverse. He single-handedly defeated the entire Great Society, a group of heroes, including entities with powers similar to Superman, Martian Manhunter, Batman, Flash, and even Dr. Fate.
With just a single spell, Strange wiped them all out, surprisingly the true power of each member of the Great Society. Each of them possesses enough power to confront and defeat the most powerful heroes on Earth, such as Hulk, Namor, Iron Man, or Black Panther. Notably, the counterpart to Dr. Fate in this group is a Black Priest, who holds ancient mystical knowledge and magical powers. Yet Strange easily subdues them all. The Black Priest possess the ability to bend reality at will, and Dr. Strange is shown to be very proficient in this field. Able to create small dimensions, manipulate matter and energy, Dr. Strange has been shown to have the ability to manipulate time, allowing him to slow down or speed up the flow of time in a given area. The Black Priests are essentially immortal and cannot be killed by conventional means. As a member of this group, Dr. Strange possesses comparable durability and can survive even in the most extreme environments. The Black Priests can destroy entire realities with a single word. As their leader, Dr. Strange can do this on an even greater scale. Black Priest Strange became the leader of the Black Priests, which means he is the most powerful of them all, Black Priest Dr. Strange. He once single-handedly confronted and destroyed the entire Black Swan army, warriors with ancient knowledge and devastating power created to serve the dark forces of the universe. He wiped out this army, turning the battlefield into a sea of ashes in the blink of an eye. Black Priest Strange also easily defeated Galactus in his greatly enhanced state, an entity that even the gods of the universe feared. It is worth mentioning that at that time, Galactus not only possessed an enormous amount of energy, but also absorbed Dormammu, the lord of the demon world, and took over his boundless power, a Galactus carrying within him dark rage and power that filled the multiverse. However, under Strange's hands, that power was still crushed. Black Priest Strange stood tall among the ruins, his eyes shining with the dark light of absolute knowledge, affirming that he had reached a position equal to or surpassing the greatest forces that have ever existed. In a rift in the multiverse where realities collide due to an incursion, Rune King Thor, the Asgardian god who sacrificed his eyes to possess the Odin force and rune magic, becomes virtually omniscient and immortal and patrols to protect Yggdrasil, the world tree that connects the realms. He senses a threat from beyond, a dark force that is destroying Earths to stabilize the multiverse. At the same time, the Black Priest Doctor, Strange version of Doctor Strange, has joined and leads the Black Priests, a multiversal sorcerer group dedicated to destroying universes to prevent the collapse of all realities that appear to eliminate Thor's Earth, seeing it as the weakness that causes the incursion. Thor, with Mjolnir blazing and a shimmering rune cloak, confronts Strange in a warped dimension. Thor, you dare trespass upon Asgard? I, Rune King Thor, will end this threat with the power of the ancient gods. Strange, with his black cloak and eyes flashing with dark energy, replied, Rune King Thor used the ultimate knowledge of the runes to bend both time and space, drawing veins of power carved deep into the universe. He summoned a giant cosmic storm. Each streak of red lightning swirled, then threw Mjolnir covered in Odin force, creating a fierce black hole that sucked out all light and swallowed Strange. Thor also used his near omniscience, seeing through his opponent's upcoming movements, and at the same time erased the illusions that Strange had created with just a glance that penetrated all layers of reality. Faced with such overwhelming power, Black Priest Strange revealed his most terrifying power. As the leader of the Black Priests, he used the words with just a reform sound. The black hole created by Thor immediately turned into a harmless circle of energy, disintegrating as if it had never existed. Strange also opens the door to countless lost timelines, summoning multiversal versions of himself, each a memory of the fallen reality. From across the dimensions, countless strange figures rush in, turning the battlefield into a chaotic maze of destructive magic and knowledge. Thor demonstrates his physical and magical prowess by defeating Strange's Mangog-esque illusion with his mind alone, and using the Odin Force to destroy part of the multiverse around them. Strange responds by destroying an entire nearby sub-Earth with a single word: obliterate, demonstrating his ability to operate on a larger multiversal scale where the Black Priests have dealt with the Beyonders and incursions. Recognizing Strange as a multiversal threat, Thor summons the full power of the Rune King and combines it with the Odin Force to create a devastating rune storm, similar to how he defeated those who sit above in shadow. He attempts to erase Strange from reality by severing his connection to the multiverse, creating a time loop where Strange is trapped in the collapse of the universes. As the Eye of the Black Priests, Strange uses his ability to speak fully, combining the reality warp to distort the entire reality around Thor, turning the Odin Force into a source of energy that backfires on its master. He exploits Thor's weakness. Rune magic is powerful on a universal scale, ending Ragnarok. But the Black Priests specialize in destroying universes to save the multiverse, so Strange has the advantage of scale. Strange says Eternity's End, a move that has been used to kill Eternity in several universes to weaken the Odin Force, forcing Thor to his knees. Black Priest Doctor, Strange relies on his superior multiversal reality manipulation and experience destroying universes to stabilize the multiverse. The Black Priests have faced the Beyonders, while Rune King Thor is primarily powerful on an Asgardian and universal scale. Strange didn't kill Thor, but erased his Earth to stop the incursion, then disappeared into the multiverse, leaving Thor alive but weakened, to be reborn in another reality. So, in fact, when Doctor Strange gained the power of the Black Priests, and eventually became the king of the Black Priests, his power was already on par with Classic Strange. And frankly, Classic Strange was also capable of defeating Rune King Thor. With the power of the Black Priests, this Strange could even defeat the Phoenix Force, Jim Jaspers, Franklin Richards, and could go toe-to-toe with the Beyonder. Black Priest Strange. Strange has more moments of near omnipotence than any other Marvel character. His very title means that he has to deal with unimaginably powerful entities and beings in his normal form. Many of these beings are even more powerful than Rune Thor. So Black Priest Strange wins.
I hope you enjoy this fight. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Follow me if you like. That's it for today's video. Thanks a lot.